President Trump stormed out of a press conference over a question he didn't like. This is fun.
That the U.S. is doing far better than any other country when it comes to testing.
Yes.
Why does that matter? Why is this a global competition to you if every day Americans are still losing their lives and we're still seeing more cases every day?
Well, they're losing their lives everywhere in the world. And maybe that's a question you should ask China. Don't ask me, ask China that question, okay? When you ask them that question, you may get a very unusual answer. Yes, behind you, please.
Sir, why are you saying that to me specifically?
I'm telling you. I'm not saying it specifically to anybody. I'm saying it to anybody that would ask a nasty question like that.
That's not a nasty question.
Please go ahead.
Why does it matter?
Okay. Anybody else? Please, go ahead in the back, please.
I have two questions.
No, it's okay.
But you pointed to me. I have two questions, Mr. President.
Next, please.
But you called on me.
I did, and you didn't respond, and now I'm calling on the young lady in the back, please.
I just wanted to let my colleague finish, but can I ask you
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so this obviously went viral. You can see why. You know what this reminded me of? I don't know how many of you guys remember this, but it was either 2015 or 2016 in one of the Republican primary debates, Trump backed out of it. And he backed out of it because Megyn Kelly was going to be one of the moderators. And, he had done this whole thing where he was saying all the time, oh, she treats me very, very unfairly. I don't like it. It's very unfair what she does and what she says. And I'm not going to go. If she's one of the moderators, I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go. And so he skipped one of the debates. And what I found fascinating was that a lot of his followers really thought like, oh my God, this is so like macho what he's doing. What a strong man. That's how they perceived it. Whereas my perception was the exact opposite. It's like, wow, that's really, really weak. Because, you're a candidate running for president. Either you could take the heat or you can't. Okay, you don't like her questions, deal with it. Go there in person and fight it, combat it, argue, like say something. But he did the opposite. And then I started thinking, well, what if it was a Democratic candidate who said, I'm not going to show up because the moderators are so mean? They immediately would say, oh my God, look at the triggered snowflake. Haha, what a loser, so weak. That's how they would perceive it. Well, the same thing I was thinking as I was watching this, which is like his followers will think this is like super macho man, standing up to the fake news media. But if a Democrat did the same thing, they would think like, oh my God, look at how weak this president is. Look at how triggered the snowflake is. They can't even handle a question that they don't like. So it's amazing how partisan divides just like scramble the brain and make people just brazen, obvious hypocrites. But yeah, I mean, I look at that and I think that's not macho. That's really weak. Like, really? You stormed off? Because Trump, there are many times where he doesn't react like this, where he does stand there and he like fights back against the media. And I actually think oftentimes it's funny. Like, it's funny to watch him like scream at the media and watch them like pretend to be offended and, good sir! Because I'm not defending the media here. I think the media is terrible as well. But yeah, for him to walk off, like, what are you doing, man? That's very, I would say that's un-Trumpian, but I just described a situation in which you did something similar previously, so I guess it's not un-Trumpian. I guess it just depends on his mood. Whatever his mood is. If he wants to be combative, he's combative. If he wants to run away and go watch Fox News, he runs away and he watches Fox News. Now, the question, I don't know, is that a good question? I don't think it's a particularly great question. It's fine, but I don't think it's particularly great. The idea of like, hey, why is it a competition when you're talking about testing? If I was Trump, I would have responded like, oh, the reason I bring that up is to try to show everybody we're doing very well compared to other countries. Like, he could have said that. He could have said that. He could have said, yeah, the reason I'm bringing this up is because I just want to show everybody how we're doing compared to other countries. He could have said that. But my guess is, he flipped out instead. Why? Because he might know that when you compare us to other countries, we're not doing particularly well. Now, we are doing well in one metric. That metric is raw number of tests. It's true that we're beating the world when it comes to raw number of tests. But when you look at it per capita, we're actually 40th. We're actually 40th when it comes to testing per capita. So, he probably, I don't know if he knows that or doesn't know that, but when he loves to brag, and sometimes he goes way too far when he brags. And we're the best, we're doing better than anybody else has ever done, ever. It's really tremendous. It's really amazing. So the gratuitous lies are absolutely frustrating and annoying. But I do think that the media, as a general rule, they don't ask great questions. Like, I remember there was a viral moment where, what's her name? Kaylee something, new like spokesperson for Trump. She was asked a question about, well, does the administration feel bad that they downplayed the virus early on? And it's like, and what she did is she read back to the media stuff that they said that was downplaying the virus as well. So, like, I just don't see value in those kinds of questions. There's a lot of questions that can be asked and should be asked because we're in a pandemic and a lot of things are unknown and there's a lot of information that people need. People need to get educated on this as much as possible so they can take care of themselves and their family. And, like, so the media should be asking certain questions, but usually they don't ask particularly important or incisive questions. But the fact that he flipped out here, and that everybody else, what everybody's focusing on is, hold on. He was screaming like, ask China, why don't you ask China about that? Basically saying like, well, China lies about, their number of cases and the number of tests and all that stuff. By the way, that's probably true. I think they do. I think a lot of countries are lying. There was a story earlier today that, like, Russia's massively undercounting their COVID deaths. And it's not just Russia, it's not just China, it's like everybody. I'm sure even we're way underneath what the real number is. But the fact that I know nothing about that journalist asking the question, but the fact that she's like Asian American, he just thinks like, oh, Asian, China, Chinese, ask China. Why don't you go ask China? And so people were like, come on, man, that's a little questionable. That's a little, bigoted of you to just like make the connection. It's like when, and he's done this before with, there was a black reporter and she asked a question about like, are you going to meet with the Congressional Black Caucus? And then he was like, I'd love to meet with the Congressional Black Caucus. You want to set that up? Go ahead, you set that up and I'll come to it. And she's like, I'm a reporter. That's not like my crew that I hang out with or anything. And in his mind, he just saw black person, black caucus, the same, like, oh, black people know each other, right? So just go set it up with them and I'll show up. It's the mind of a child. He just makes this. So he saw like Asian American reporter, Asian, Chinese government. Go ask the Chinese government. I know you're so close with them and stuff. Oh, man. Oh, Jesus Christ. What are we going to do with this guy? Anyway, that moment went viral, and I thought I'd share it all with you. But to me, I think the main takeaway is that no matter what he does, it will be spun by his people as strength. But I really think that storming off because you don't like the question, I think that's really weak. And I think that there are many times where Trump does not do that. He'll stand there and like go back and forth and spar with the reporter, which sometimes he seems to like doing. Apparently not this time.